What's going on, world? AJ here, and today on the show, we're talking about it. It's 5 years. 5 years of gaming on the glorious Nintendo Switch. As always, get yourself a beverage, sit back, relax, and let's talk about the Nintendo Switch. What can I say about the Nintendo Switch? One of the greatest gaming consoles I've ever played. It's just fantastic. It is a great system. I've played the Atari 2600. I've played the original Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES. I didn't own the Super Nintendo, but I've played it. The Sega Genesis, the N64, the GameCube, the Nintendo Wii. I've played the Wii U. All these different gaming systems I've played over the years. Oh yeah, I forgot I had a PlayStation 2 at one point. Yeah, I forgot about that. I even played Xbox 360 as well, ones I didn't own. But anyways, this is what I consider a superior gaming console. Or handheld. Because it's both. It can be console or handheld. That's where the docking station comes into play when it comes to the Nintendo Switch. You plug the tablet portion, which is right here. Fancy new controllers right there that I got to replace my Joy-Cons because of the cursed Joy-Con drift. Check out my previous episode on that one. But anyways, yeah, you would take this thing, you put it in a dock, you could play it as a console on the TV. Or you can take it out, play as a handheld on the go. Both ways. You can play both ways. And that's what pretty much killed off the 3DS. And it was time. It was time to say goodbye to the 3DS. It had a good long life run. And this put it all on one. Let's make it a hybrid. Let's make it to go or make it stay at home. Whichever way you want to go, the Nintendo Switch is the thing to play. And this was it. Now remember, this was a day one purchase for me. Day one purchase. I pre-ordered it at the Walmart here in town. And I saw the advertisements. Of course, I've been anticipating it too because I've been seeing like the Nintendo NX. It was codenamed NX at one point. And I saw the different drawings and stuff floating around online and what it looked like. It looked, oh man, controller on a screen? Touchscreen controls? No, thank you. It's kind of what I was thinking to myself. But no, it has a touch screen itself. You could touch screen on here, to pick things, Back out of that real quick. But anyways, no, it had these Joy-Con controllers with it. This is it. This is the controller right here. Joy-Cons. So why they call it Joy-Cons? Because you could take them out of there. You could connect them to the tablet. You could play it on the go, or it could be as a controller. Or, depending on the type of game, like Super Smash Brothers or Mario Kart 8. Hey, you got two controllers. Pass one off to a friend. Boom! That's how it was innovative. It was cool. So technically, yeah, you had one controller package in there, but it can be two, depending on the game and what the controller layout is like. But this was how I played The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild when it first came out. And this was also day one as well, on release day. It came out on release day of the Nintendo Switch. This was a release title right here for the console or handheld system, depending on what you want to do with it. But this was it. This was the game that I was anticipating, looking forward to. I saw the advertisements, the commercials, and just see it being hyped all over the place. I'm like, I got to get my hands on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm a big Zelda fan as it is, And currently number one ranked game at the time for me was Majora's Mask. In comes Breath of the Wild, kicks that out of the picture. This becomes my number one game right now. Yeah, you know, a lot of people says, "Oh, it's overrated." I love this thing. I absolutely adore Breath of the Wild. Yeah, the story's kind of a little lackluster in some areas, and there's some questionable things like, you know, why does the Master Sword have to recharge, you know, after usage? That was kind of weird in my opinion. You should just let that just be unlimited, you know, because I was still experimenting with all the other weapons, even though there was a weapon breakage system on there. You know, you have your parry attacks. You can actually jump in this game. It's a miracle. And, you know, you have different types of outfits. It's open world exploration. Yeah, the dungeons are lacking, but that's where the 120 shrines come into play. And, you know, with the Divine Beasts, were only technically 4 dungeons right there. And, yeah, it was just an interesting story. Another video for another time when talking Breath of the Wild. But it was a great moment. It was a great time in gaming for me was when I got to sit down and play Nintendo Switch and play Breath of the Wild for the first time. I loved it. Fell in love with it. Spent hours and hours of playing, and it was just a great time. But let's take a look at the system itself here. I mean, here you go. You got a whole library of games in here that I've acquired over the 5 years. Kind of run through some of these real quick. You got Bloodstained series, The Curse of the Moon, Curse of the Moon 2, and Ritual of the Night. I've got the Castlevania Anniversary Collections 1 and 2. I've got Dead Cells, Cyber Shadow, Hyrule Warriors, both, you know, Definitive Edition and Age of Calamity, Super Mario Kart 8. I've got Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Retromania Wrestling, Paper Mario Origami King, Shovel Knight, Sega Genesis Classics, which in itself has like 25 or so titles of classic Sega Genesis games. You got Sonic Mania, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. You remember that one from the N64? It's a classic. I downloaded that. You got Star Wars Jedi Knight 2. You got Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Smash Bros., Team Sonic Racing, Untitled Goose Game, Toe Jam and Earl Back in the Groove, The Messenger, Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, Breath of the Wild, of course, Starlink, all sorts of different games on here. Such a good extensive library of gaming. Of course, not to mention the Nintendo Switch Online service, which comes with, whenever that released, I think that came out of 2018, I believe. Yeah, I think it was 2018 when that one launched, September 2018. And they started it out with the Nintendo NES games. So you had a library of that, and then they would always add new games periodically on there, you know, to go back in time, play the old classic games you used to play. And also you have the Super Nintendo system. But recently, within the last few months, they threw in the Nintendo 64, the Sega Genesis. Now you got all these other classic games to play. And yeah, some people complain about the Nintendo Switch Online service, but I love it. It's great because I get the opportunity to play games that I never got to play before in all these gaming consoles. You know, there's on the Nintendo Entertainment System. I mean, there's games they have listed here that I never got to play. There's even some on the in 64 I didn't get to play. Some of the Sega games I didn't get to play. And of course, I never owned the Super Nintendo, so what a lucky thing for me to finally get to experience some of the Super Nintendo games. But anyways, kind of taking a look at the interface here. There it is. That's the screen. You got your sleep mode on here. You put the system into sleep. You got your game settings. You got your controllers to kind of calibrate the controllers if need be, because Joy-Con curse. Yeah. And then you got an album on here because you could actually take 30-second clips of your gameplay and take pictures of your game as well and post those on social media or do whatever you wish with them. You got the Nintendo eShop where you can go download the games onto your system. You got the news here where it kind of gives you like up-to-date information on coming out games, latest gaming information and such. All right here in your system. So Nintendo Switch, 5 years. 5 years. And it's still the original system that I own today. Yeah, I've got this Split Pro controller on here now to replace my Joy-Cons whenever I'm playing portable because, as I stated in my previous video, they all suffer the Joy-Con drift curse. But of course, you know, there's also Pro controllers, such as this one right here, that very comfortable to play while you're playing on the TV. So happy anniversary to the Nintendo Switch, you know? And again, day one purchase for me right here. I picked this up at a midnight release, actually. Tell the story here. I had a few people at Walmart when I was working at the time convinced me to go to the midnight release, knowing that I had to get up the next morning at 5, or actually I had to be at work at 5 a.m. the next day. Yeah, that was a great move, wasn't it? I was tired, let's just be real. But I went out to the midnight release, stood in line, got my pre-order of the system. Everybody else was buying other stuff that they had out there for sale. But I was like, nope, I just want to get my pre-order and I just want to go home, go to bed. All right. It was probably it'll be the only time that I will ever go to a midnight release. And it was my first one and it'll be my last one because I could just pick this up at work the next day. Yeah. So, other than that, 5 years. Happy anniversary. 5 years. Celebration of the Nintendo Switch. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe out there. Grab yourself one of these if you have not already. And take care.